Take a seat, Adam Smith. The only free enterprise we care about today is the Final Fantasy variety, as we've got two runners here looking to build their own wealth of nations on the foundation of their first win of the tournament. Hi, everybody. My name is Smeepty, and I am pleased to be bringing you today's race alongside here in the co-casting booth, Gundam Pilot Spas. How's it going, Gundam?
Oh, I'm good. I'm doing extremely well. I'm excited for some afternoon free enterprise here on a Tuesday. It's kind of blowing my mind how many races we're able to bring to everybody, and this has been an exciting tournament so far.
Yes, it definitely has been, and with how many matches we've seen, it's really surprising that we still have some runners still on their first race of the tournament. So whoever wins here today is going to have a fantastic start going into that, trying to get into that increasingly competitive magma table, while the other is going to have to start rushing to get caught up here. But either way, one person is going to come away with 1-0, the other 0-1. What do you think about the matchup here today?
Well, Dathus is a community favorite, of course. It's everyone's favorite meme, vanilla or jet, and of course it's fitting that we have a vanilla Cecil start with the vanilla palette. I think that's a sign that maybe Dathus is going to do well this race.
Yeah, but definitely don't count out Zyrak here. That has been a very, very strong figure in previous tournaments here. More than capable of holding his own, and with these sort of objectives, looking at sort of the potential for a Jedi seed, it might really come down to some strong execution and really deep understanding of, the short game here.
Yes, definitely. It's gonna all, it all comes down to, if it is a Jedi seed and we get our objectives finished quickly, then it comes down to who can get that grind quicker and who can get up to Threemus, and those, we can complete all our objectives and still not have access to the Big Z himself.
Yeah, right you are. Plus, that Cecil starting introduces a really interesting conundrum for our runners, considering we do not have the agility agnostic flag on. We're back to some old school free enterprise here, where Cecil sets the tone for the agility manipulation on Threemus. He can be a help or a hindrance, depending on whether you get some really good gear for him. You might be able to just flat out ignore Threemus' speed. If we don't really get anything great for Cecil, then you might start to think about dumping him for somebody else so that you can get a more reliable agility anchor, or you have to start really micromanaging his level to make sure he's going to be at that precise agility level you want, so that you don't have a terribly nasty Threemus. And if this ends up being a Jedi seed and runners feel the need to go into Threemus at relatively low levels, that decision whether to use Cecil or not can become a big one.
Yeah, and if once they check their starting characters, they don't see that coveted second Cecil, the choice is probably going to be to let him go, and before they get a chance to really do their looting and see if they can get a one of those end game holy swords and make him truly valuable.
Yeah, right you are. We're going to get our look at that second character right here. It is Porum. So we've got a white mage to go along with our knight, and a Masamune, so a very, very good-looking katana, should a ninja decide to show his face here anywhere.
Yeah, whenever I can start with a white mage, I think that takes a little bit off of my mind, because that's in these seeds, this flag set, I always want to see at least one white mage to help carry my party through. So starting with that is white.
Yeah, a lot of people like to dog on Porum for not necessarily having the HP values that her older counterpart Rosa would have, but don't slouch on Porum one bit. Guaranteed access to that exit spell without having to go through any sort of cutscene shenanigans, as well as earlier access to that burst spell, which is incredibly useful when you have a starting powerhouse like Cecil. If you manage to get him a paladin and put a good sword in his hand, make her very, very competitive as a white mage.
Ooh, and we see a Kane at the Baron Inn, guarded by King Queen Edlin.
And big shout out to Dathus there, confirming that Todd does indeed still smell.
So King Queen Eblin is a free fight there, but that's only a 400 HP spot, not the place that I would want to see the King Queen Eblin fight.
Yeah, a lot of people would probably consider that spot sort of free on its own just because of the incredibly low HP value. So doubling up on the free there isn't exactly the best way to see the bosses spread out, but still plenty of reliably beatable bosses out there that our runners can take care of. Ooh, some Cure 2s early in Baron. That's also a really great relief until you get Porum up to the point where you can reliably heal the party.
All right, both of our runners heading north. Dathus going to Damsian. Zyrak to the Watery Pass.
Yeah, and a Dwarf Axe there for Zyrak. That is a fantastic find. Very easy way to back row glitch any of your melee characters. We saw Kain available in the Baron Am, and that is the only way to get him with a back row glitch. And speaking of incredible finds, that's Palom, the Quake Kid himself. You really love to see him early.
Yeah, no, 100%. He gets Quake in the early 20s. Once he gets up there, it's going to be a lot of help in a hook seat if you have to get through some of those rude bosses in order to get underground access. Definitely love seeing an early help.
Yeah, not to mention with Porum already in tow, that means you have access to those twin cast abilities. It can be a great way to get the damage that you need to get through a lot of these early overworld fights. Both of those twin cast spells, especially against fights against multiple enemies, can be very, very useful. And Dathus is also going to have his twin casting online, though in a different manner, twin Porums for him.
It's going to be one of those twin heavy seeds. Gives us more opportunities for twin cast, but we don't want too many of these low damage characters early on. Right now, neither racer has any good melee hitters early on.
And it's going to be a Lunar Sparkle here in the waterfall. This is a required fight. Well, not required necessarily. It is one of the objectives. So it is Pale Dim. So Dathus has got that intel now. Not quite feeling ready to take that fight on. Going to go out and head to Hobbs, see what character's available there.
Zyrak finding the Yang and another Palom at the Mysidian character spot. So again, Yang is a good character at high levels, but at his starting level, he's not going to be hitting too hard.
Oh, wow, that is fantastic for Zyrak there. Finding Kain on Mount Ordeals. Already has that Dwarf Axe, so Kain is going to be in a really good position here. There was also an Ice Brand inside of the Waterfall Cave that he grabbed, which is a great mid-tier weapon for Kain as well. Put a few levels under his belt, and he's going to be dishing out some pretty respectable damage from the physical end.
Yeah, no, definitely. With either of those weapons, I mean, Zyrak is going to... He's about ready to start taking on some bosses and getting some key items.
Yeah, now we saw it was Edward guarded, with the boss being demissed here. Let's see if Zyrak is just going to take the knowledge and run like Dathus did, or yeah, he's just going to take the knowledge. Oh no, going back in and... Okay, playing with my emotions here. Yes, he is going to go and try the fight here. Not necessarily for the Edward, I would imagine, but instead get that demiss done, and that is a free key item check there.
Dathus is heading into the Watery Pass to do his early item checks and see if he's going to take this Palom.
Oh goodness, I got so excited about that Ice Brand, I didn't even realize there was a Gugnir as well in the Watery Pass there. So really, really good seed for Kain here. See the Twin Cast Flare there doing just shy of 500 damage. Two of those, and demist should be history here. Going to be at least one counterattack phase in between, though.
That's right. The Mist Dragon will get 3 attacks off before turning into Mist and becoming invulnerable to any attack. Only to do it all again.
Your standard ATB era Final Fantasy tutorial boss. And And there's the second flare. A little bit of a lower damage roll, but still enough to take care of it. And that is the first boss out of the way. That is really big for the Palom in Zyrak's party, because that means he's going to have access to those tier 2 elemental spells. It's a significant boost towards getting your damage online for the rest of the overworld fight, so things should start rolling for him very quickly here.
That's right, and Zyrak is going to be able to get first look at a key item spot here. It's I don't think this is a big disadvantage for Dathus, because he already knows that D-Mist is there, so as soon as he gets the power he thinks he needs, he'll run over there and do that check as well. There have been seeds in these flags that I just fade Hobbs altogether, so that would definitely be detrimental.
Yeah, with these free characters on, generally the big advantage to doing Hobbs is that character that's available there. Now that you have so many freely available characters, it can be very easy to just go, I don't need to take a look at Hobbs today. I'm fine. We've got what we need. So yeah, not going to be happening to either of our runners here today, thankfully. And Dathus took a little bit of a look deeper in the waterfall cave than we saw Zyrak do. Didn't get much out of it outside of poison arrows. So going into Antlion Cave now.
Picking up a ninja hat, which is a high-level piece of gear. Though I don't believe he has anyone who can wear it currently. I don't think Kane can't wear the ninja hat, right?
I believe that it's the ninja suit that he can't wear. I believe he can wear the hat just fine. Oh, defense sword in the save room in Antlion. That is huge. This is looking like a very, very Kane generous seed.
No, definitely. So a Gungnir spear and a defense sword, and one more Kane available in Baron Inn. I think both our runners have found where their power is coming from.
Yeah, it is a happy, happy day for fans of floor tanks. We're going to get a look here on Dathus' screen of the boss at Antlion. Setting up a few things here, getting some bow and arrow setups. Oh, no, just getting the back row glitch set up on Quorum there. Doesn't want to actually put the bow on. Putting the bow on... Nope, also just the back row glitch. Keep thinking he wants to set those mute arrows up just in case he runs into a boss with the spellcaster's flag set. Those mute arrows can do a tremendous amount of damage. Meanwhile, Zyrak is actually going to go take on the Kael'dim right here, feeling confident enough his damage output. Always get your objectives done, no reason not to, and then you can check out a few of the chests right behind there.
So we see a Milan at the Antlion spot. Not a frightening fight at all. So Dathus is going to probably do quick work of him, and we'll see what our key item is.
Yeah, great boss for twin casting here, because all of that HP is going to get spread out amongst all of the minions. It's only 1,000 HP to begin with, so nothing terribly frightening. This is going to be little problem. That comet might actually even do it. Yeah, there's the... Oh, no, not quite. Just a little shy. Whew! Pair of silence staves in the chests right behind the waterfall boss. That's huge for any prospective white mages here.
38 damage from the Dark Sword finishes off the Milan boss.
Yeah, who says Dark Knight Cess is useless? Oop, there's a hook. So we don't... It's our first look at a key item. One potential avenue of underworld access, but by no means our only chance at it. But oh, and there's the adamant for Zyrax. That's one half of an objective right there from Mount Hobbs.
So Dath is having the information that we're likely going to have to go through the hook route to get to the underground. With that information, that Kane becomes the cane that he peaked in Baron in becomes extra valuable.
Yeah, most certainly. With all the great gear already available for him, you're going to want as much strength as possible going in the underground, and all those extra checks for key items, just in case the Magna Key could be hiding around somewhere. Definitely something you're going to want to exhaust before making the hook path commitment.
We are also getting to the point where our runners are going to have to make a decision on whether we're keeping Cecil or not. Have not found the coveted second Cecil yet, and in order to get Cecil to a point where he can be useful, we have to do Mount Ordeals. And of course, because of the agility flag, the vanilla agility flag, he's going to be kind of a detriment to our battle speed going forward. So that decision will probably be made very quickly here on Zyrax. So.
Yeah, right you are. And with 2 canes available and the absolute wealth of gear we've already seen, I'm not really seeing too much of a reason to keep Cecil around, other than the hope that a crystal sword might show up at some point. But if it's me running this, I'm thinking, well, let me take the sure thing that I know of, and that's, we've got 2 great melee characters in Kane. Let's put Cecil aside and grab somebody else to be our anchor.
All right, so Dathus getting through the Mist Dragon while Zyrax finishes up that easy King-Queen Evelyn fight. So Dathus is going to be able to get the Adamant momentarily here.
Yeah, not a terrible boss here to find behind the first Baron Inn boss. Hits a little bit hard just because the spot has pretty high attack, but as long as they can shoot through those soldiers that have relatively low HP compared to how much of it is put on the officer will run away. Don't need to worry about losing experience for the officer, since the spot gives no XP to begin with, and we should be out of this fairly easily.
No, definitely an ideal situation, especially with the amount of squishy characters in those 3 mages we have in this spot. We'll be able to get through it relatively easily, and then see what our next key item is. Dathus going to check the Castle Fabul to do the defense battle, and I think this will get a peek at what boss is hiding out here. What boss is attacking Fabul today?
And that's our second Basamine, and with it, the second way I've pronounced that sword's name, so nobody can get mad at me. Or everyone can get mad at me. Either one works.
Oh, everyone's gonna be mad at you. There's no going around that.
And getting rid of one of the Porums there, and deciding to keep Cecil around for a little bit.
Well, either still hoping that he's gonna find Crystal Sword, or Dark Knight Cecil is gonna take a nap for the rest of the seed.
Yeah, if you're betting on a little bit of a jet seed and going in at slightly lower levels, Cecil becomes a little bit less of a liability. I believe it's level 42 is roughly where you want to get him to for him to be an ideal anchor. Especially if your level up method is popping sirens on eggs, that becomes very easy to manage. So yeah, even if he doesn't find a good weapon, you can still make a decent anchor out of Cecil. So, not the worst thing to keep him around.
And speaking of Dark Knight Cecil, the Pain Man is attacking Fabul today. Dathus takes his 3 lumps, doesn't lose any characters, and we get to see what gift the King of Fabul has for us.
Sorry, being corrected in chat. 44 to 45 gives him that 28 agility benchmark. Ooh! That is never a fun fight to see.
No, that's gonna take a good chunk of time to get through because we have to watch his cutscene where he automatically kills 3 of our party members.
Though really great timing there, manages to get Kane up in the air before the hold gas goes up, and Kane's going to skip the destruction cutscene here, so he's guaranteed that Kane will be alive here. So not bad at all.
So at least when Kane comes down, he'll be able to throw. Well, it looks like Kane's going to be around for the demolish.
I didn't even realize there were clock ticks during that. I thought it was all one cutscene, so I learned something today.
So that Dathus clicked through the gift from the King of Fabul really quickly. I did not see what it was. It doesn't look like it was a key item, though, since the tracker is not lit up. It was a samurai helmet.
Nothing doing there. Zyrak's got to hope that this time investment on Golbez pays off with something in Ordeals. Does get the Star Veil up, so the rest of this should be relatively academic.
Ooh, and Dathus finding the cursed ring in the Silvara item shop.
Yeah, definitely selling some cash to make sure he gets that in his pocket. Not only is that a huge relief going into the end game, where you have a consistent way to set up manipulations for agility on Zeromus, but if you run into something nasty in a particularly fast spot, you can manipulate agility around some of your characters, passing that curse ring around, seeing if you can get someplace where some otherwise unwinnable fights, particularly the Feymarch royalty comes to mind, can be much more manageable. Curse ring's a very, very valuable item for that.
That's right, and the price of the curse ring in 4.1 was increased from only 8,000 gold to 25,000. Right?
Its value being properly reflected now.
Right. Yeah. So something that takes a lot more to acquire, and a little tougher to make sure you have it in your pocket when the time comes to face off the rooms.
Yeah, most certainly. And continuing the trend of Hoki brought Star Veils on Mount Ordeals, we've got Asura here in the second spot. There are a couple of strategies you can employ to take Asura down. The first one being putting up a wall on her to reflect her cures back onto your party and not onto her. The second one is to time your attacks properly so that you lock her in a position where the only spell she's going to use is Life 1.
Yeah, with only Star Veils, both of the tricks are a bit harsh. The timing down for the life lock, even though that's the ideal one, if it's if you screw up that timing, it's not guaranteed, and then without having wall, you're gonna have to blow 2 Star Veils in order to get that wall up on Asura. So not a great low level boss if your party's not ready for it.
Yeah, right you are. And I don't believe we've seen Star Veils in a shop yet, so the only ones they have are the ones that are coming in that starting kit. That being said, Zyrak is managing pretty well here. He's got the face on the life side, and he's timing things relatively well here. 1 or 2 more solid blows should put Asura down for the count.
I do admit that I do not have good enough rhythm to keep the life lock this long. So I'm showing some kind of mastery of the ATB system here on Zyrak.
Yeah, fantastic fight there. That was incredibly well executed. And that really just kind of shows you, a lot of people, ask compared to other randomizers, where does the skill come from in an RPG? Aren't you just selecting menus? Well, that right there might not have looked much to the uninitiated. That was some fantastic timing, really, really strong game knowledge, and just being able to just get through that fight and made it look easy in the process. Excellent job there by Zyrak.
So Dathus's party is up from the Golbez cutscene, and hopefully he'll be able to get a Star Veil off. Nope, he's taking a reset.
Yeah, let's see if he adjusts tactics here before going back in. Oh, the Sand Ruby from Mount Ordeals. We were talking about hoping that it pays off after that Golbez. That certainly is a payoff there. That's going to be a second objective done for Zyrak as soon as he's out of here. It's looking jettier and jettier.
Ordeals is required. Hate to see it.
Well, as a lifelong fan of Paladins, I do indeed love to see it. But
all right, so Zyrax is facing off against the CPU at the top of Ordeals. Looks like Dathus is doing some grinding, some Lilith grinding here before going and trying that Golbez again.
Yeah, I looked away from his screen. I knew he did have a Siren. I'm not sure if he popped it for this fight specifically. But yeah, those Liliths can give a very, very sizable amount of XP here for the point at which you find them. So yeah, I don't blame him for sitting around, taking a couple levels here just to make sure he's properly ready to fight that Golbez fight, because it is not an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, it looks like he was actually just setting up which characters on his team were down so that he knew who'd be alive here for the post cutscenes. That's actually a really smart setup there.
Yeah. And getting 2 Star Veils off before the cutscene even begins. So no matter what now, Dathus should have a character alive with a Star Veil up, and we'll be able to reflect those spells back at Golbez.
Yeah, most certainly. And considering how high the magic power at this spot is, you saw Golbez's virus is hitting for over 1,000 when Zyrak was doing the fight. This Golbez is going to take himself out very quickly.
So if I was Zyrak, I would be heading right over to the Kaipo bed to take a look at what character we get as a prize, and completing that second objective.
Yeah, and actually, our tracker Zoe Vermillion pointing out in chat, if that's 2 Star Veils from that starting kit used to get through Golbez, that's going to leave only 1 for Asura. So Dathus is going to have to use Lifelock strats, not going to be able to set up the Reflect strats with only 1 Star Veil.
Yeah, and if he's not versed in those Lifelock strats, it's kind of a desperate shopping hunt is really the only way to follow that.
Yeah, and since we know that that's the Sand Ruby and an objective down, that's going to give more and more momentum to Zyrak. Started showing where those really, how useful those difficult esoteric strategies can be when applied in the right context.
So we found Iridia in the Kaipo bed. Zyrak will not be taking Iridia today. Already having the preferred Black Mage as it is, and we'll just shopping for those Ether 2s. Those are going to be valuable with the number of mages he has.
Sorry. All of these races that we're restreaming for the Zima Zone getting blurred together. Zoe is actually doing our restreaming today.
Oh my goodness.
It's Zalba who is doing the tracking side. So make sure you show them love, give them follow. They do so much work to make sure they can bring this race to you. So thanks to both of them.
Both all of the restreamers are doing an incredible job. Every job involved has its unique challenges, and it's definitely respect to the people who are doing a race a day, and shout out to our race admins who are keeping everything flowing.
Yeah, and as a result of just everybody's outpouring of volunteering, we're going to have 4 races being broadcast today, I believe, all told. So even if this ends up being a quick race, don't worry, there's going to be plenty more free enterprise to watch here today.
All right, so Zyrak is going to be taking on that Fabul boss. Zyrak has not done the Antlion Cave, which is a little odd, because I would definitely do Antlion before Fabul. So he does not know that he's going to have to dive underground yet.
And the dark waves are done. We find out about what is right in the world.
It's not only justice, I believe.
Yeah, I always forget. Someday I'll say.
And Dathus is able to push through that Asura.
Yeah, very, very well done. No easy feat by any stretch of the imagination when you aren't loaded with the tools that would otherwise trivialize it. So, great job for Dathus. Dathus is going to have that Sand Ruby and has done, as you mentioned, a few more overworld clears than Zyrak. So I believe Dathus is going to be in the position where he knows this is, for sure, this is going to be a hook route and is going to be diving there, maybe a little bit ahead of Zyrak. This is going to be very, very close.
Yeah, it's hard to tell which runner is ahead right now. Dathus hasn't done the Demist, the Rydia's Demam check yet, but Zyrak is already through Mount Ordeals and on his way to collect that hook now. So it's pretty much neck and neck.
Yet a lot of the mystery scavenger hunt has been taken out of this race at this point. A lot of it is going to come down to execution. What is going to be in our runner's way at this point, how they choose to deal with it, and what decisions they make in the individual fights. So this is going to be a real nail biter of a skill test here coming up. It looks like. I'm really excited to see where this goes as both of our runners sort of converge on the Evelyn Cave here.
Zyrak finding that defense sword and equipping it immediately, swapping the ice brand onto his Cecil.
Yeah, it can certainly be argued that the defense sword is Kane's best weapon in the game. Not only does it have a massive attack power and a tremendous boost to his vitality, it has a way better accuracy than any of his endgame spears do, which, if you're not familiar with how the way attacks work in Final Fantasy IV, any single attack command is actually a series of several attacks, with each having their own individual mischance based on the weapon's accuracy. So if you have a weapon with higher accuracy, it's going to do more damage on average than a weapon with lower accuracy, even if you never actually see the word miss show up on your screen.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why while Sid has a lot of HP and can do some decent damage, I always dump him for a Kane just because those axes have really low accuracy on them.
Yeah, right you are. They do have some specific benefits though. The Earth Hammer in particular has the fire element on it, so it can nail creatures weak to fire pretty well. And some of the axes also are good at taking down any enemies with giant flags, those mad ogres that are very common in the mid-game as far as being in Evelyn Castle. There being a trapped chest through Evelyn Cave can be very useful for those fights as well.
So I think the wild card right now of any hook seed is what bosses we're going to have to encounter in order to get through it and get to the Falcon. What do you think would be the worst case scenario right now for our runners?
Oh gosh, there are some really, really nasty fights that can show up here. One of the classic fights that can block a hook seed that we have not seen yet is that evil wall. That is a very, very difficult DPS check to overcome, all the while taking, I think, 13 attacks before he goes into his destroy phase or something along those lines that you have to endure at a pretty high physical damage. So you've got to not only be repairing all of that damage, but putting out enough damage against a spot that has, over 20,000 hit points. That can be very, very difficult to deal with. So I think that would be one of the rougher things. Oh, wow. Bacchuses and Sirens in Evelyn's shop. That's huge.
No, definitely. That's ton of value there, and they're going to be doing some shopping before entering the underground. I think right now, although it looks like Dathus still has 1-star Veil left, a Wyvern is probably not something that either runner wants to see, because I don't think Zyrak has any Star Veils left, but we don't know exactly where to find them, so running into a Wyvern now is probably not going to be ideal.
Oh, absolutely. Especially even if they had 1 Star Veil left, that's not enough damage. Even if Mega Nuke hits for its full 9999, that's not enough to kill the boss down there. So you're still going to have to rely on dodging nukes from that point onward. So yeah, by no means would that be an easy fight.
Yeah, the nasty Rubicon spot has 20. I think it's 24,000, 23.5, somewhere in there.
Zyrak has found the Staleman chest. Decent XP out of this fight, and you get a roll on some trap chest loot. And with a party as melee heavy as he has, always good to try to dip into a chance for some high tier gear. Can always be helpful. Some good accessories for any of those melee fighters would definitely be welcome. Now, the one thing I do like about this team here going into the hook route is that Paladin Cecil. There are oh wow, another defense sword. Are you kidding me? Kane, this is your seed, buddy. Good.
It's heavy seed.
But yeah, what I was saying, having that Paladin Cecil, there are a lot of fights that rely primarily or even entirely on physical attacks. And don't discount Paladin Cecil's auto cover ability. Any ally that is in critical HP, as long as Cecil is not berserked or parrying himself, Cecil will take the damage for them. So if you can stick really good armor and back row Cecil, he is more than capable of just completely nullifying a lot of bosses that can show up here. Bahamut, not one of them, though. Bahamut is just going to count down in Mega Flare.
Yeah, not the friendliest of bosses, especially as we stated. We're going to have to do over 20,000 damage in order to get him down, and I don't think Zyrak has the damage required to do that before the 5-second countdown elapses. So he's going to have to at least take one of those Mega Flares.
Yeah, now he does have canes, and they do have that jump ability. So he demonstrated some fantastic timing earlier in the Asura fight. If he can keep that timing going and getting his canes to jump over Mega Flare, he can get through this Bahamut. It wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility here.
Dathus still hasn't done Baron in yet, right? So he still has the opportunity to pick up that the second cane.
I believe you're correct.
Okay. It'd be interesting to see if he's also gonna hold on to this Cecil and trade Kane for someone else. Because while he doesn't have the second defense sword yet, he still should have a Gungnir Spears, which is still an end game weapon for the Dragoon.
We talk about how good these defense swords have been for Kane, but yeah, the rest of his arsenal is no slouch. Any one of these mid to high tier weapons in Kane's hands, he's going to be able to do work with. Just get a berserk set up on him, and he's good to go, and you can just sort of control things with the rest of your party members there.
And Zyrak is only seconds away from encountering the first of our underground bosses. We know that Bahamut's going to be hanging out at the Rubicon spot, but the King Queen Eblin spot can also be pretty rude depending on who you pull.
Yeah, most certainly. It's not as threatening, perhaps, as the Rubicon spot, but it can definitely sneak up on you with some pretty nasty bosses.
Dathus quickly making his way through King Queen Evelyn. He does have a lot more power than Zyrak did here, and just throwing the Gaia drum is going to take care of those 3 officers, or the 3 soldiers, and the officer's going to run away.
I thought you might have French vanilla commentary cursed there, and we had Wyvern at the King Queen spot, but nope, it's just a floating eyeball.
Also, I should correct myself. But Marty correctly pointed out in chat that this spot actually could not be Wyvern because I don't think Wyvern can gate underground access.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. There are, by default, a series of checks in the game logic to make sure that there are certain relatively overtuned bosses that can't prevent access to the underworld to sort of make the seeds easier overall to manage a more gradual increase in difficulty. Those bosses being Wyvern, Golbez, and Valus, yes. Yeah. Having particularly nasty mechanics that may require some certain specific setups. Now, there are going to be more difficult flag sets where that safety check can be disabled, but for these entry rounds flag sets in the tournament, we do have that enabled to sort of prevent that from happening.
Yeah, so Zyrak is doing Resurrect strats against Plague, which is probably the most common way to counter him. You just have to make sure you bring someone back to life before the countdown expires, and then Plague will just continue to cast his death counter on your entire party, resetting it on the characters who were already alive. But making quick work of them, and now we're on to that Bahamut.
I love it. No safety save. Zyrak smells jet. He's just powering on forward. I love that kind of boldness here.
There are very few bosses I would not take a safety save here for. The walk back is going to cost you a couple seconds, but so will having to do that Plague fight again.
And it turns out, Zyrak did have a spare Star Veil here, so he's got it set up on Porum. Porum is going to be able to survive the Mega Nuke. We'll see if he tries to do jump strats with the Canes. Cecil also setting up a Star Veil as well.
Oh, it looks like he's going to try to cast Berserk on his Canes to get that extra power out of them. And most of his party going down with that Mega Nuke.
Yeah, most certainly. He's setting up here now. Looks like he might be trying to get this done on the next Mega Nuke. Use the Star Veils a little early. They should hold for at least one more Mega Nuke, I would guess. They do. And that means Bahamut is sitting at less than 5,000 HP remaining here.
Yeah, it's still going to be a race against the clock to the end.
It's tricky. Considering some options.
It's tricky to keep those wall timers in your head because the Star Veil and the normal wall spell have different amount of time that they last. And
wow! That is right on the nose for the HP total there. Not much margin for error there. And you can see just the difference in time it took between Porum and Cecil using a Star Veil was the difference in the duration on that buff. That's incredible. But Zyrak is through and is our first player with Underworld access. And I imagine he is going to be going straight for Dwarf Castle here.
That's a little bit of luck and a lot of well executed mechanics there.
Most certainly. Yeah, one of the things that can make things like reflect strats so tricky in Final Fantasy IV is there's no visual indication whatsoever as to whether a character still has the reflect status up or not. In fact, the only way to check it is to try and cast Wall yourself, where you'll get a status menu that comes up and shows you. But early on, when you're relying on Star Veils for that Wall status, you've got to kind of go on instinct and game knowledge as far as how many clock ticks have happened, is this Star Veil likely to still be up? It takes a lot of practice to get to the point where you can reliably say, yes, it's going to last this long.
Yeah, very very often during these fights, I will quickly jump into the white magic menu and just to double check who still has wall up or if I need to redo that. And it's costs time and it's stressful, but it's better than accidentally killing one of your characters during an aggressive Z fight.
Absolutely. And Zoe pointing out, you can actually also use a curative item on one of your characters as well. That'll bring up the sub menu that will show you the status as well. So keep that in mind, especially if you're going to be playing around with reflex strats there. And yeah, Zyrak taking some time to egg grind here, get some experience on his characters before going into Dwarf Castle. Completely logical thing to do here. Want to make sure you can just go through and stop everything and get this seed done. So yeah, this is a perfectly reasonable move with being loaded up on Sirens as you are from that Evelyn shop.
Yeah, I imagine he's probably going to want to get. He's trying to get Palom to I believe it's 32 when he learns Warp.
Yes, right you are, and then that will give you access to both this and the check inside of the sealed cave as well. So we do have that warp glitch enabled for this round of these early round flag set.
Yeah, often my first, if I have access to Sirens, my first grind is before Dwarf Castle, just to make sure I can get that warp and I'm not double dipping, because if you being forced to do Dwarf Castle without warp and then having to do Luca is probably going to cost you the race at that point.
Most certainly. It's one of the few advantages that Rydia actually brings to the table is much earlier access to that warp spell. If you know you're going to be doing a early Dwarf Castle and you want to try to make sure you've got that warp in mind, might want to consider bringing Rydia along just to make sure you have that warp access, especially if it's your only access. Rydia is a godsend in that case.
It's also one of Tella's many utilities in these flags.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially with the absence of the mop in this tournament, Tella kind of really shoots up in usefulness as far as just the raw versatility of the spell list.
Yeah, he's kind of the Swiss Army knife of Free Enterprise in this tournament. It's not the best tool for every job, but he is a good enough tool in most situations.
Kind of the Swiss Army knife you inherited from your dad and you got from his dad. And
it's a little rusty.
It's seen its paces, a little rusty. You might need to take a whetstone to some of the pieces, but it'll work. And also there's like a giant boat anchor tied to the Swiss Army knife that, once you're done using this knife, you can use it to like keep a boat. This metaphor is spiraling out of control. We're going to the Dwarf Castle here at Zyrak's screen.
Are able to equip a cursed ring to that Swiss Army knife?
Yeah. Because, you don't want that Swiss Army knife moving very fast. So that's going to be Mylon Z, since we have seen the original Mylon. Not a terribly difficult fight. Might get a little bit hard, but I don't think it's anything Zyrak will have problems with here. And with Paladin Cecil able to cover strats if all else fails, can't see this being too much of an issue here.
Yeah, it's already over, actually. Oh no, it's not. That's his starting dialogue. It's just these characters are moving way too fast. Yeah, so Fire 2 is going to be cast, and then it's pretty much. I don't think he'll survive beyond that. Oh, well, I miscounted.
Yeah, a surprising amount of HP at this spot, just because in the vanilla game, this is where you would run into the Calcabrenadals, so the total HP for this spot is all of their HP added together. It actually has more HP than the second fight here, interestingly enough.
Dathus looks like he's doing a second attempt against these mad ogres. Zyrak completely skipped over, so I don't know what the reward for the mad ogre fight is. Hopefully it's something valuable.
Well, there's your second Cecil. Not interested in it, though. Oh, it's that blue robe.
So we're encountering our Alt Gauntlet here, which is a pretty trolly spot for the Alt Gauntlet because the Golbez spot is not a high HP spot, not a high magic attack spot. So a rude boss there is actually a pretty welcome sight. But the Alt Gauntlet throws all those benefits away.
Yeah, the one nice thing here is having that Palom with you. You can sort of multicast your way out of this, but with the speed sort of set up, it looks like, just going to attack with his melee fighters. They're doing enough on their own. Not going to bother to set up any spells here, just sort of hold A and pray his way through.
So chat pointing out that, of course, after the Alt Gauntlet, we will be in go mode, but it's actually not quite yet. As I kind of predicted with these objectives, we are going to complete all our objectives and have our crystal, but we do not have access to the moon, and we don't have access to Threemus.
Yeah, the one nice thing about that, though, for our runners is there are 2 items that you can use to get to Golbez, the Pass, and the Darkness Crystal, of course. So there are going to be essentially multiple critical paths here going forward to get an item that will bring them there. Hopefully one of them not locked behind a lengthy quest chain, or hopefully not the other way around if you're a fan of trolling your runners. But yeah, either the Darkness Crystal or the Pass will do it for them. And there are some pretty easily accessible key item locations here in the underworld. The Feymarch chest comes to mind that could give that access to the runners here.
Yeah, Zyrak was going to be able to get 2 key item checks after getting through the Alt Gauntlet, and then the Feymarch chest, and of course going to check on Yang and letting Sheila know where her husband is will also get. So Zyrak is going to be able to get 4 checks really quick after finishing this fight.
And of course, after that incredibly lengthy gauntlet fight, Zyrak just does not have the strength in him to chase a slowly moving hand. So unfortunately going to get away with the crystal, but what can you do?
I mean, if you saw a hand crawling across the floor at any speed, are you going to be able to react to it in time?
Point taken. That's okay. He gets a crystal of his own, because that is 3 out of the 4 objectives done.
And looks like package at the sealed cave spot.
So that is going to be worthless. Nothing could possibly be there that could help the runner at this point, unfortunately. But Luca, on the other hand, has got that Earth Crystal, and that's a little more interesting, because that leads to another key item check. I don't think either of our runners are really hurting for gear, though, so I'm not sure that checking the Troya Treasury is going to be hot on anybody's minds, but that is at least a side quest there to go on.
Yeah, Cecil does not have a Holy Sword yet, and if he is being taken into the Z fight, we're gonna want at least a light sword, Excalibur, or Crystal Sword is really what I want on Cecil when he, even when he's not anchoring agility. But definitely, if I'm bringing him in, I'm going to want him to do some serious damage to be worth it.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point.
Dathus making his way through that plague fight, and he can continue on to Bahamut, and we'll see if he opts for the safety save, or is he going to do? Yep, he's opting for the safety save. He's not going to be like Zyrak and do the swag Bahamut fight.
I have been burned way too many times on trying to be too gutsy and things like this, so I do not blame Dathus one bit here.
Oh, and chat is calling for the Job Dwarf check, and it doesn't matter.
Ooh. The heel turn from Zyrak, completely ignoring the Job Dwarf there. Oh. You're breaking Rexroll's heart, my friend.
Dathus opening up the Bahamut fight with a Silk Web, which is going to cast slow twice on Bahamut and making that counter that much slower.
Yeah, so that is going to be a really good strategy for trying to get more damage in on Bahamut. He might be banking on only reflecting one Mega Nuke, because the trade-off for that is that it's going to be more clock ticks between Bahamut's actions, which means more clock ticks between for the Star Veils to wear off. So I don't think he's going to be able to get to the point where he'll be able to reflect a second Mega Nuke. So probably hoping on the one reflect and then damaging through the rest of his HP.
Zyrak finds the Baron key in the Feymarch chest, which is going to unlock even more opportunities for key item checks for him. Continuing on that chain as we look for Pass or Darkness.
And goodness, as we hunt down one of those items to actually get to Zeromus, have the Jets officially fallen off the plane of this seed? We'll see.
The Earth Crystal was at Luca. Sealed Cave was Package. Chad is asking.
Let's see what fun awaits us. The Island Royalty. It is a French vanilla Leviathan and an unknown lunar boss. Who do we have left there? I believe it's the Nope Rope and...
Nope Rope, Wyvern, and D-Lunars.
Ah, right, Wyvern and D-Lunars. That's correct.
And it might, maybe Ogo Pogo is just hanging out with his cousin here. That works in my headcanon. Probably of those, I think the one I don't want to see is Ogo in the Leviathan spot.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that is an incredibly nasty fight to have to get through there. Dathus is through into the underworld as well. Hot on Zyrak's heels here. And I think it's going to be... What this might come down to is the checks our runners make trying to find access to the final boss.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they route this. Zyrak is, he's lumping his checks together by location. He checked that Feymarch chest, and now he's trying to get through a couple of the bosses down there. Dathus could go through Dwarf Castle and then just quickly check his freebie. So if Sheila has a Darkness Crystal, that'll enable him to kind of catch up a little bit.
Yeah, I have to imagine Zyrak is making this play here on fighting the King and Queen spots in the Feymarch, feeling like he's ahead. Like, okay, I feel like I've been playing very, very well. I feel like I'm at a really good place here. This makes sense for me because I have time to work with. So even if this doesn't pay off, I still am not going to. It's not going to hurt me too much. I imagine if he felt like he was behind, he might not have made a play like this.
Yeah, especially with a lot more easier checks in front of him. I mean, even the Baron spots, as long as that checking the Baron trash can is, it's probably going to be an easier check than pushing through any of the Feymarch bosses.
Yeah, most certainly. He is through Leviathan, and let's see what his reward is. Just a Blizzard Lance.
So I'm excited to see if we get a peek at what that Lunar Sparkle is.
We will not, unfortunately.
Don't blame him. I think if I took the time to fight through Leviathan, I probably would peek it just to see what I was up against. If it's D-Lunars, and I had some Star Veils, I'd probably rush right back and do it as soon as I could.
Yeah, interesting how Star Veils would be sort of the key to either of that being Wyvern or D-Lunars, though I don't think you're probably going to be outspeeding Wyvern with in the Leviathan spot to get a Star Veil up, now that I'm thinking about it.
Not with a Cecil Anchor, you're not.
Yeah. So time to check up on our monk friend here. And go reports to his wife.
So Dathus is trying to tell us something. I'm not sure what. Cowbez, wait, Cowbez, it's me. Do you know what he's trying to say to us?
It feels like there's a message to be had in there.
Yeah. I think he's just still salty having to face Galvez on ordeals.
Oh yeah, not a fun place. Though he handled it very well. Both of our runners handled what could honestly have been a very nasty ordeals very, very well, demonstrating really good skill at the game. And it's paid off for both of them because it's made getting the 3 objectives done for the crystal very, very quick. And just a pink tail for Zyrak, so that is not what we're looking for. Let's see if he decides to follow one of these overworld quest chains in search of that Threemus access.
Death is also not taking second Cecil at the Dwarf Castle.
I don't think he knows about second Cecil.
The Gauntlet was the second boss, so I think he already went through that check.
I'm sorry, it was a Lord of the Rings reference. I apologize.
Oh, jeez. You were memeing. You were memeing. You were memeing and I was commentating.
No worries. No. You were doing your job. I was having too much fun. So you're gonna see a check in the treasury here.
Zyrak, desperate for, I think, that crystal sword. That's going to make the seed. Getting through these extra bosses. Avenger? Okay.
There's so
many defense swords.
A fourth sword! Are you kidding me? That is 4 defense swords, a Stardust Rod. How do you give this vault anything other than a 10 out of 10?
It's a 10 out of 10. You know what? 9 out of 10 if there was a crystal sword.
I think 2 defense swords equals 1 crystal sword. I'm not really good at math, but that seems like an equation to me.
That's true. But if you can't give Kane 2 defense swords each,
he needs to
dual wield character.
He needs to start learning from Edge. He's got to start teaching that dual wield to people. Everyone needs to start taking a level in Ninja.
So we're getting ratings. We're getting a lot of 10 out of 10s, 2 9 out of 10s. So I think that we're splitting the ticket there.
Yeah, I will compromise to 9 out of 10. Yeah, 10 out of 10 would have been a crystal sword, but it's definitely one of the better vaults we've seen this time.
I think probably anything. Well, so Cecil does get that Avenger. I think that's the only Cecil up in there. But we're gonna give that Avenger to Kane. To Avenger glitch that defense sword.
Yeah, that is a good weapon to Avenger glitch. Being able to keep the properties of that defense sword and get your auto berserk set up as well is an excellent place.
Yeah, Cecil's going to get one of those defense swords, but we don't get the benefits of a holy sword, right? We don't get extra damage on Z, and I don't think I don't think we get the Karate Man skip if it's not a holy sword either. Is that the case?
I believe as long as he's a paladin, we can still get the Karate Man skip. Okay. I don't believe he needs a holy sword for that. And that is a Mom Bomb, so relatively easy spot. Just going to have a ton of HP to go through, but when you have as many defense swords as Zyrak does, probably not a problem.
So, Invenerable in the chat clarifying that even punching with the Paladin Cecil is going to get that Karate Man skill. So, any weapon. All right, so Dathus getting his way through that gauntlet, getting his crystal, and now doing the 2 key item checks here. He found the package, and he's going to be disappointed by his Earth crystal. So right here, if Dathus kind of skips over that Leviathan boss, he does have an opportunity to catch up. And Zyrak finding a ninja at the top of Zot, finding two ninjas at the top of Zot. He does still have those 2 Murasame swords, right? Or did he sell them?
2 Masamunes, actually. You got to take at least one, right?
I think maybe for Cecil, right? No. Okay.
Oh, you got rid of Hallam? Could we see... Oh, okay, no. Keeping 4 of them. Okay, so we're somewhat sensible. I thought we might be seeing a legendary Quintzerker here. We still might, if we can. I mean, there's still room to get a heroin robe. I mean, we do have access to those Bacchuses, so I mean, a Quintzerker would absolutely be on the table.
And you see, now you got the chat. You got the chat chanting now. That's never a good thing. We don't want to overexcite them.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm writing checks that Zyrak does not want to cash. So, relatively easy fight here with Dark Imps. Going to plow through it with no problem. We're going to get a look and see what key item was behind Tower of Zot here, and may or may not put Zyrak into go mode.
Meanwhile, Dathus is scrambling some eggs to get him some extra levels after doing the dwarf check. So he might be planning on, considering taking on some of these Fame Archer bosses.
Yeah, he has not had a look at them yet, so might be able to do the same thing Zyrak did. Take on the Leviathan. It's a much more manageable fight, and nope out on the lunar fight. Or might grab some of those side quest items and decide to pursue those. It's a twin harp. The chain continues.
So Zyrak still has another opportunity to become the People's Champion.
Yeah, and decides to go into the barren sewers instead.
Not an unreasonable decision.
Not at all. You're already in here. Makes perfectly logical routing sense. This gives you 2 key item checks, both one in the garbage pail, in the escape route of Baron, and then the other is going to be at the Odin spot. So yeah, this is a completely reasonable check. Would not surprise me, though, if neither of these checks pan out, that you head to the music next.
So Dath is keeping his Cecil on the floor here during his egg grind, which seems to indicate that Cecil is going to be anchoring for the rest of the seed.
Yeah, and based on his team composition, it would not surprise me if Dathus goes for reflex strats here against Threemus. All those twins being able to reflect Nuke and White here would be one way of approaching that fight. We'll see what he ultimately decides to do, but yeah, it definitely looks like Cecil is relegated to anchor at this point.
Zyrak encountering that Baigan spot, he's going to have to swing a sword 3 times in order to get through this water hag. And he's through that free boss. Baigan spot is not a scary spot, especially with his level of equipment. So seeing Water Hag there, not my favorite.
Yeah, generally speaking, if you can get through the Baron Inn fights, you're going to be perfectly fine in Baron Castle itself. Relatively similar HP totals, and stat values kind of amongst all of those spots.
Oh, and it's the elements fight.
Getting a little bit of leg day here, but not much, as one attack is going to cycle through very quickly here. In fact, we're not even going to cycle.
Yeah, it did not even get the HP refill.
Yeah, the good news there is we get a little bit more leg as he fades out. And there's our third fourth forum? I've lost count at this point.
I believe it's our third one. Zyrak opting not to take one.
I think that's a pretty reasonable decision on Zyrak's part there. I think his team is pretty codified at this point.
I think overall we've only seen 5 characters? 6 characters?
6, yeah, because we've seen both the Sid, Eddie, both the twins, Cecil.
Oh, no, yeah. I think we've also seen a... No,
I think
Yang.
Bed, so yeah, 7, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and Yang and Mysidia, as Zoe points out.
So I think more than it feels
diverse, just a lot of repeats. And there's a Legend Sword, so that's an Excal for Cecil if he wants it.
Not sure. I mean, the Excal, of course, being an extremely valuable weapon, but even more so is checking that the Kokol shop.
Oh, but, absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, maybe like a Zeus Gauntlet. I don't know exactly what you'd be looking for at this point with defense swords and legendary ninja swords and an Excal.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Zeus Gauntlet would be like the key thing to want to find in the Kokol shop. I've seen it plenty of times, and Zeus Gauntlet is a fantastic accessory. You couldn't ask for a better boss to show up at this point. As soon as Yang is done with his second attack cycle, all it's going to take is a single attack from Paladin Cecil to end this fight immediately. So this is really good news for Zyrak, and he's going to get another key item check here momentarily.
Zyrak desperately wants to see a Darkness Crystal here, and chat desperately wants it not to be a Darkness Crystal, so we can get DJ Spoony B.
That's a tower key. That's more rabbit holes. And it looks like we're finally seeing the gimmick of this seed. It pretends to be a jet, but then it spirals out of control.
So the tower key will enable 2 key item checks from the lower of the bell tower. The open spot at the very top when you have to defeat the boss up there, and then the cannon room.
So now we've got to watch and see what Zyrak's next move is going to be. I know I'm hoping for music. Dathus, meanwhile, has finished his grind. He is heading into the Fey March, and we'll see if he decides to just stomp through the royalty here, or what his plans are. Because we still have not seen that second spot in the Fey March throne room.
So Zyrak is going to buy more sirens now that he has been rewarded with his 10th key item.
Yeah, very, very good. He did a temporary grind earlier to sort of get to the point where he could start plowing through bosses. But yeah, now getting to do that grind in earnest after that 10th key item, he's going to have double experience from everything, is going to make his grind much, much quicker than, say, Dathus, who I believe has done his entire grind for the seed in one sitting. So Dathus will have spent a little bit more time grinding because he's not going to benefit from that experience gain. But we'll see what ends up working out best.
Yeah, Dathus is way behind on the checks here, although he could catch up if the answer is that harp and he decides to run right to it as soon as he clears Tower of Zod.
Yeah, another thing that could really work out for Dathus here, as we see him run into the nope rope. Never mind, that could not work out for Dathus.
So the cousins are visiting each other.
Now, if he does manage to take on the nope rope and beat it here, that could also potentially lead to one of the items we're looking for. We know Zyrak has kind of faded that fight. So if it is gatekeeping, that could be big for Dathus if he does get through that fight.
So it looks like he's going to take on one of them. He's equipping the Dwarf Axe to Cecil, which is going to give him an agility penalty, so making him a much better anchor.
Now, interesting, I didn't see him put the curse string on Cecil. I thought he had bought that curse string earlier, but maybe he didn't. I didn't see it in his inventory anywhere.
Yeah, no curse string on Cecil.
Or, maybe he's leaving the curse string off now because he wants to do cover strats with Cecil. Not sure. We'll see what he does.
It will also give him a little extra damage, but I don't think that's what Cecil's purpose is here.
Oh, there's Wyvern.
All right, and we still have not found any of those Star Veils.
Oh, Cecil surviving the opening Mega Nuke. So that is perfectly fine. He's going to be able to revive the team up, and from here on, Wyvern can only kill one party member per turn. So as long as he keeps reviving those members, he can put out the damage that he needs. So that is a fantastic stroke of luck there for Zyrak.
Wyvern is probably going to be moving pretty fast, and this being a relatively high HP spot. It's originally for the Dr. Luggage fight, which is 2 separate fights. It's going to be hard to plow through this using, while keeping his party alive.
Yeah, absolutely. Not something you see every day. I think Edge just darted a defense sword. A lovely pink trail as it got thrown.
Ooh. Dathus, because of that grind, getting through the Leviathan a whole lot faster than Zyrak managed to.
Yeah, you can really tell the difference in their relative party strengths by the time they were here. Fortunately, all he's going to get is that Blizzard Lance, and now Dathus has an important decision to make. Do I challenge Ogopogo?
And he's not immediately exiting out, so the answer could be... No, the answer is no.
He just wanted to cast it over here. Yeah, he might have been thinking it for a minute, but then remembered, I enjoy sanity. I don't want to bash my head against this wall. I really don't blame him one bit. That is an incredibly nasty boss and an incredibly unforgiving spot.
So Zyrak, taking advantage of the Bacchus wines he bought at the Ebling Cave, manages to push past that Wyvern.
Oh, and he's got it! Everybody should listen to Invenerable because it was Keyless Tower the whole time.
It was. So my guess is he's gonna stop along the way, scramble a couple more eggs, taking advantage of those 10 key items, and then he's heading right to Zeronis.
Yeah, right you are. It'll be interesting to see what level he feels comfortable here, especially when it's the pass instead of the Darkness Crystal. You might get a little bolder and think you could do it at a little bit lower level, since if you wipe, you can get right back into the fight a lot quicker than if you have to take the Walk of Shame in the Lunar Subterrane through the Lunar Core down there. So yeah, I'll be interesting to see how far exactly he wants to take this team.
I don't think he feels behind right now. I mean, the only play he would be worried about is that Keyless Tower play, which is, it's not a common one.
Yeah, we've seen some incredibly quick seeds thus far in this tournament, but still, go mode at an hour 15 is got to be a good feeling. You can't really be feeling too strung out about that.
We're seeing dual grinds going on right now.
Yeah, while we've got these grinds going on, I do want to give a huge shout out to our restream team here. Today we've got Zoe Vermillion doing the restream here, and Izalba handling the tracking. Without them, of course, we cannot have a show. We've been having just an enormous outpouring of support from our restream team this entire tournament, being able to give you so many of these games being cast. Like I said, we've got, I think, a total of 4 races on the docket here for you today. So definitely enjoy those and give our restream team members a follow because they certainly deserve it.
7 hours of free enterprise being broadcast on a Tuesday is truly incredible. It's everyone's been working tirelessly, and it's been impressive even from the inside looking out. It's just hugely impressive.
And Zyrek has found the magic number he wants his Cecil at. It's going to eat a coffin and enjoy the taste of subterranean floor here for the rest of this grind session.
So I imagine, well, I don't know. So I mean, I don't know exactly what levels he's aiming for. I mean, I think want Porum to be around probably mid-40s just to get enough HP to survive the big bangs. He's not allowing Cecil to level up anymore. I don't know if he's at that magic 44, 45 mark. And then he has the intent to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's just checking because Cecil is only 43. So yeah, drops a life on Cecil to bring him back up for one more level here. I think what he might have been a little bit afraid of is going too far on Cecil, because if Cecil gets 3 levels, well, he kind of like blasts right. Oh, no, just gets the 2. Because when you get that double experience, that can be a little tricky, but no, he's perfect.
Yeah, so it looks like he's probably going to down Cecil here and then get Porum a little bit more HP. That's really the only thing I'd be concerned about is having my white mage survive those poorly timed big bangs.
Yeah, because as fantastic as the equipment we've seen so far has been, we haven't seen anything like a white robe or any of those really high magic defense items, at least that I've seen, that would, keep Porum extremely safe during the Zeromus fight. So yeah, that's basically the linchpin at this point, is you want to be able to have Porum at reasonably survivable levels, because as long as she's up there and chucking Cure 4s at the whole party, the rest of the Berserk team can just kind of go to town. Looks like Zyrek feels comfortable and is going to make the play here.
Yeah, I believe chat's asking. I believe the Dathus had a ribbon. I forget where he found that.
Yeah, that was. It was. If I recall, it was in the very back of the waterfall cave. I think only Dathus checked that. I don't know that Zyrek checked that as well. I could be wrong on that front.
That's right, because it was a silent staff and the ribbon back there, if I remember. And
having to park his airship a little further than he'd like, since he's already got the Falcon in the VIP parking spot. Can't double park in free enterprise.
Always a fun walk you have to make when you realize you brought the Falcon to Tower of Azat.
Boy, there's this really weird emote that everyone is spamming in chat. Gundam, do you see that?
I do. I think they want us to ask a very specific question.
Huh. I have no idea what that might be. Do you?
I believe the question that they want to ask is, whose butt are we kicking this afternoon?
So vulgar.
Oh, geez.
I'm going to have to check the Twitch terms of service. I don't know if you can say words like that.
Yeah, chat, you're asking this very inappropriate question.
But yes, if you are new to Free Enterprise, we randomize everything around here. Some music gets randomized, the characters get randomized, the bosses get randomized, even the final boss gets randomized. Not his AI script, just his sprite. We have a fantastic array of sprites made by community admin and developer Scala-Kitty. All of them look fantastic. It's always a pleasure to find out what you're going to get on any given seed. And as Edge throws the crystal here, we'll see the true form of the Destroyer. That is a thing.
It is Lotusmus. Not sure what from, although I have seen the sprite before.
Is oh, from Battle Kid. Okay, it's all coming together now. That's a deep cut.
And definitely one of the many fantastic sprites that are available in Free Enterprise for Threemus.
I was going to guess it was from that Wizard of Oz platforming game, but yeah, I'm nowhere close. So yeah, pass out the Bacchus because it's a wine party time. Everyone's going to zerk up, and Porum is going to be the designated white mage at this party.
And we're already getting our first Big Bang.
Yeah, the one nice thing about that early Big Bang is it is very easy to nerf, as you call it. Being able to trigger Threemus' AI script to lower his own magic attack temporarily. Usually it's done to make sure his counter nukes don't hit so hard, but you can sort of exploit it to make sure the Big Bangs don't hit very hard. The white timing on the first one, much, much easier than timing on any subsequent ones. I'm not sure if Zyrak is really going to need to really nerf any Big Bangs from here, or if he's just going to ride them out at this point.
No, I mean, everyone in this party is doing 2,500 to 3,000 damage, it looks like. It's not going to be a very long fight, and as each character actually is acting, then Threemus is not able to get any further ATB ticks, so the quicker his Zerkers act, the less opportunity that Threemus has to act.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why berserking is such a strong strategy against Threemus, just clogging that queue.
Dathus is finding twin ninjas and is going to make a decision on them here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Dathus' final party is, and if it's... because he's essentially done with his grind at this point, based on what I saw of his character's levels. Yeah, not interested in either ninja, despite the Samanes.
Alright, so Lotusmus is shaking again, and we'll see if Zyrax can apply enough damage to just either skip it, or is he just going to take it here?
It's going to go out there. Keep your eyes on Porum. We don't want to see anything higher than 1479. Oh, that's close. But already had the Cure 4 queued up, so Porum is okay, but Zyrax got to be sweating right now.
Yeah, little bit of luck. I think Zyrak has been rolling very well this seed, between that and the Star Veil earlier against Bahamut, just surviving before it times out. Definitely RNG on his side here.
Yeah, that being said, so long as that's the last Big Bang that we see, it wouldn't be a complete catastrophe if Porum gets wiped to that Big Bang. We have the black hole right here, removes the Berserk, so the rest of the team would be able to sort of heal themselves up. But even if that wasn't the case, so long as he had enough damage to push through the Meteor phase without getting patched back up, and the Meteor's load rolled below or missed people, he might be able to get through it. Being said, here comes the Meteors, missing the second cane. Looks like he should be good from here on out.
Yeah, the black hole removes the Berserk effect, but that's not going to slow him down too much.
We have less than 10,000 HP to go here, and there's the flash, the crack, bang, boom. Zyrak has won today's match with an official time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, 56 seconds, and has started this tournament off on the right foot with his first win.
GG's to Zyra.
Yeah, that was some excellent, just sort of textbook play there. Knew what he had to do, charged at everything, had some really smart routing and how he approached things after he got that crystal. Try to get that Threemus access, and yeah, just a really exemplary play all around from Zyrak here today.
Everything from pushing through those bosses in Upper Babel to knowing exactly how to manipulate Cecil in his grind. He played exceptional.
And I believe we are joined by Zyrak himself here. Zyrak, GG, congratulations on your first win of the Fury.
Thanks, Mapey. Appreciate it.
So yeah, how about those objectives just sort of lining up to be seemingly pretty jetty from the get-go? Were you sort of expecting jet when you saw them?
I hate jet seeds. I never know how to handle them ever. So when those objectives came in right away, I was like, oh my god, this could be like a sub-hour seed, depending on where. Like if it's Magma Key and like a relatively easily accessible access to Zeromus, this could be like sub-hour territory. But when the hook showed up and there were Bacchus wines, especially in Eblan, I took a huge sigh of relief. I'm like, okay, like I have a very physical heavy team and I'm holding two Masamoons in the edge waiting room. Like having Bacchus wines just makes this a whole lot easier. I don't have to worry about getting a low HP Porum to survive Zeromus anywhere near as poorly. So once I saw those, I was like, okay, I did a little bit more looting just to make sure that my gear was where I wanted it, and then just started pounding item spots out.
Yeah, I mean, you had pretty much a chain in order to find that and that pass. Can you talk about a little bit about your routing? Like, how were you feeling while you kept getting key items that unlock new dungeons?
Yeah, I mean, because the whole time I was Keyless Tower, man. Because the whole time I was like, Keyless Tower is just sitting there, and it's probably not a bad boss. Little did I know who was actually waiting there. But I was sweating that the whole time, and then the tower key showed up, and I was like, okay, I'm finally going now. I almost did the tower key first, which I don't know if that's Darkness Crystal or not. Could be. I didn't notice in the credits. But yeah, that was I was definitely sweating that the whole time. And then once I realized it was Wyvern up there during the whole Wyvern fight, I was like, okay, I left a relatively doable moon boss in the Leviathan spot as well. Like I noped out of that because I didn't want any part of Ogopogo or Wyvern. And then with Wyvern being at the top of the tower, I was like, oh my god, there's a good chance that there's a D-Lunar down there, and Dathus has been sitting on go mode forever and it's just grinding eggs. Like I was worried up until the end, for sure.
Yeah, it was Ogopogo. It was not D-Lunar, so...
Okay.
Dathus peaked, and because that was exactly what he did. He did do his grind, and then went to go to do the Fame Arch bosses, and went into Ogopogo, said no, and then followed a similar path to you from there.
Okay.
But yeah, we saw a lot of really confident play from you. One of my favorite moments was just diving right into Bahamut at the Rubicon spot without going for the safety save. Was there like a particular gamble or moment for you that you were particularly proud of?
Maybe that's being a little bit naive, to be honest. If I'm being, like, I guess a pro always says, yeah, no, I totally had that calculated, but I thought the Cecil and the Canes were going to be doing way more damage than that, so I thought if I could reflect 2 Mega Nukes, I'd be able to make up the rest. And, the end there was pretty spicy. I looked at like the count of 3, and Porum and Cecil both still had their walls up, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit and hope they last. I expected to either have them both reflect, or I would die. I did not expect Porum's to have worn off and Cecil's not to have. That was crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't have asked for a more dramatic finish to that fight.
Yeah.
So with the amount of Kane equipment in this scene, what was your motivation for keeping that Cecil throughout?
So The thing with Cecil is that you're always an Excalibur or a Crystal Sword away from killing everything. And I have got a really, I know the challenges with Cecil and being able to manipulate agility around him when you need to for a tough boss fight. I know that makes him tougher to deal with, but I have a very hard time throwing away a Cecil when that possibility lingers out there still. And I reset out of the 2 characters in Mysidia, so I knew I had a base level Palom there if I absolutely needed to dump Cecil for something in order to get through a tough boss. So, but yeah, I just have a hard time getting rid of that. This is a game of quite often making sure you have the biggest stick, and I have a hard time ditching the guy who has the biggest stick.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Definitely fair. Especially with the prevalence of the Crystal Sword on these T-Wild flags. It almost feels like every seed has a Crystal Sword.
Yeah. I probably should have got the X-Cal at the end there. I didn't want to bother with the cutscene for it, but Cecil, the defense berserked Cecil was not doing as much damage as I thought he would, so if I had to do it over, that X-Cal probably at least breaks even, if not saves a little time. I probably should have got it.
Well, you're sitting at 1-0 now after your first match, so that's a very, very strong start. 1 win away from what's looking like an incredibly contentious Magma route. What are sort of your thoughts going into the rest of your group stage and the matches you have coming up? How are you sort of feeling about your chances here?
It's cliche, right? But like, there's no easy games in this. I mean, not that there ever was, but the community has just gotten so much better, and the average player is so much better than they were even at the last Threemus tournament. So, it's cliche, but I'm just gonna try and take it one race at a time, and you just got to deal with what's given to you. And yeah, I'm not expecting an easy time with either of my opponents left in this stage, and if I'm lucky enough to advance further than that, then I'm not expecting anything easier there either.
Any final thoughts on this particular seed and your strategies to get through some of the uglier bosses?
Apparently the strats just go in bullheaded and win anyway, but. No, I mean, apart from that, no, it was a decent seed. Just a lot of hunting for that Threemus access at the end, but quick seed otherwise. Some semi-challenging bosses and some decent locations. It's definitely a good seed. I'm happy with the way I played it overall.
Awesome. Well, you definitely should be, because that was a phenomenally played effort there. Really, really great display of skill over the game. It was a pleasure to watch. But thanks for joining us, Cyrac. Thanks for being broadcast, and congratulations on your first win here tonight.
No problem. Thanks very much. And I did wind up resetting out of the credits eventually. I will get you guys your music. Don't worry.
Well, you're getting it at the same time that Dathus is checking it in his seed, so this is actually perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
We get some stereo sound going on.
All right. Thanks again, everybody on the Restream team, and both of you guys for commentating. Appreciate it.
You got it. Take care, Cyrac.
Thanks.
And time for us to shut up because it's music time.
So a little bit of Megalovania from Undertale.
And there was that crystal sword we were talking about. It's in every seed, and Dathus not interested because he's already made a Cecil and Anchor.
And he will be making his way up to that top of tower. And he will have his Threemus access very shortly. He is, with his grind pretty much complete. I think he's as soon as he gets this, he'll be on his way to Troya, and will get us a reprieve of the Threemus fight.
Yeah, very little reason to stick around at this point where Dathus is. He's already done everything that he's needed to do. He'll be very happy to see that pass, I'm sure. Just sort of grabbing it and go. But yeah, we're seeing the keyless tower was sort of a strategy that really paid off in a lot of races for Bull Gauntlet, and already showing its strength here. We'll have to see if that ends up being kind of a favorite play of people going forward.
It is a tough decision because that walk back down from the tower takes a lot of time, and if you can combine it with the cannon room, you get 2 for 1. But if you can't find that tower key, or if that tower key is hidden behind a nasty boss on the moon, sometimes you just have to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where, because of the format of this tournament being a one-on-one tournament, whereas Free Enterprise before our Bull Gauntlet back in winter was all about mass races with lots of people at once, where specific efficiency was sort of what you were going for. Now that you're just contending against the decisions of one other person, you're always trying to outthink them. What is one thing I can do that they would be hesitant to do? And that keyless tower jumps to the forefront in a lot of places. It's just like you said, it's a long thing to walk out of, and if it's the thing you think you might need to do an edge to differentiate yourself from your opponent, makes it very attractive.
Yeah, and the one-on-one races are what's kind of giving us more entertaining routing overall. I mean, we've seen plenty of races where the routing has been completely different because someone grabs an early darkness crystal, and then the second racer gets it later in the seed, and they stick to Earth to try to make the play on Earth, assuming that their opponent has already been to the moon and is checking there. So one-on-one races have been very interesting, just in terms of routing, and just I think a lot more entertaining to watch than trying to keep track of four or more runners at a time.
Right, you are. So there is the pass for Dathus. He's going to make that long walk we were just talking about out of the tower, and then I imagine it's going to be right over to Troya and through the teleporter to the end of the seat. So again, I want to give a big shout out to both of our runners being restreamed here today. Both Zyric and Dathus are phenomenal, not just runners of this game, but also fantastic members of the community. If you want to join our community, we've got a Discord set up. It's for novices and experts alike, where we do not just tournaments like this, but casual pickup races, share strategies, help people out, just generally have a lot of fun. Definitely check us out there. And of course, give a follow to everyone on the Restream crew here today. We've got Izalba doing the tracking. We've got Zoe Vermillion doing the restreaming. Without them, we cannot have a show. So huge thanks to them as well. It's just a huge community effort that makes all of this happen. And honestly, I think Free Enterprise has got one of the best communities out there.
Yeah, if you ever even just have a passing interest in trying to, just even casually play Free Enterprise, the Discord is where you want to be. There's tons of friendly people who are always willing to give you some tips and talk about particularly nasty seeds that you run into.
Yeah, memes too.
Lots of memes. Some of the memes go over some of our heads.
All right, picking up a stack of Bacchuses from Evelyn Cave there to feed the Zerker rage here.
Of course, Dathus' Z fight is going to be a little bit different than Zyrak. He does still have at least one. Is it one, or does he have two pounds left?
Oh no, I take that back. There were sirens that but he is actually going to be doing a little bit more grinding here.
Oh, interesting.
Get a quick look at his levels here. Yeah, I can definitely see where he's going to want to pad these out a little bit more. He's got 1700. As we saw, those numbers can get scary high on those big bangs. Wanting to get all of his kids to comfortable places. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, he might be going... Well, no, maybe not. I'm not sure if he has white on all his forums there, but maybe he's looking at reflect strats.
Well, he did get nuke on the Paladin.
A nuke on the Paladin was what he's looking for. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And he's going to run back. He's going to buy that cursed ring now. So he's prepping for that Z fight.
Yeah,
he's going to throw. So he looks like he peaked the cursed ring earlier, but did not buy it. So Cecil's going to have a dwarf axe and a cursed ring, which he's not going to check his agility, but his agility is probably going to be under 15 at that point.
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, the recent price hike in the cursed ring. So yeah, knowing that it's there but putting off actually buying it until you actually need it makes a lot of sense. This being free enterprise means that sometimes prices do adjust.
Yeah, so where Zyrax did a pure Zerker strats, Dathus looks like he's going to set up for hybrid strats. I don't know if he's going to... I assume he's going to Zerk Kane, but if he goes full reflect, either way, he's going to be able to do a ton of damage in a short amount of time as well.
Oh, absolutely. And it's sort of a really interesting how we could see two completely different approaches to Zeromus here from the Sade Seed, just based on what characters they decided to stick around, which characters kick to the curb. I'm not sure that Dathus ever actually went into the Troya Vault, so he might not have gotten that wealth of defense swords that Zyrak got.
I thought I saw him going into the vault.
Okay,
but he did equip the White Spear to Kane.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know. I don't think he took the shield off. There's that Avenger sitting in his inventory. So he's definitely going to Avenger glitch. Well, again, if he's going to do hybrid strats, he's going to use that Avenger. If he's going to go full reflect, he doesn't need it. Once again, we get to ask the question.
Whose butt will Dathus be kicking this afternoon?
Even though we already know, Dathus still gets to be surprised.
I'll have to ask Dathus if he's a Battle Kid fan. Getting ready to throw that Silk Web, which will not only put 2 layers of slow on Zeromus, but trigger that counter nuke that will nerf Zeromus' magic attack for the first big bang. Always tricky timing here with that Silk Web, as I'm sure anybody who runs this game knows. If you throw it just a little too early before the boss is properly loaded, I guess we could call it, it will actually target the Zeromus before the crystal was thrown and just be completely wasted, and you'll have to throw a second one. I know that's happened to me more than once.
All right, so he is putting wall up in the Cane and is swapping the White Spear for the Avenger Sword. It's a common play because there's a glitch in Final Fantasy IV where the status of the equipped item remains even if you switch it in the middle of a battle. So he gets the benefit of having Berserk from the Avenger Sword, but gets the higher attack power of that White Spear.
Shoutouts to Zoe Vermillion for switching the audio channels over for the final boss. That's beautiful. Here comes back Hallam here. And the reflected nukes will start coming out in earnest.
And each nuke is gonna do about that 7,000 damage, so it's gonna be a relatively quick fight. Although Lotus Mist seems to be moving a lot faster on Dathus than for Zyrak, and that is the magic of those Zerker strats and being able to slow Z down as much as possible.
Yeah, one Zerker's nice for slowing Z down, but yeah, can't compete with four Zerkers slowing Z down. Looks like, yeah, Dathus is going to try to get off a nerf here. So he's triggering a counter nuke by using that crystal there. Cecil is going to eat Stardust here for it. But if he timed it right, this Big Bang should do significantly less damage than it might ordinarily.
Yeah, and if the nuke went off, that's normally a pretty good sign that it's been nerfed, but not always a guarantee.
Yeah, sometimes it can be tricky depending on just the way Zeromus' AI script works. He has a chance to reset, or not a chance, but he resets it at certain points. So you got to make sure you're using the crystal outside of that window. It didn't look like it was too nerfed, but thankfully it was a low roll.
That's right. With a Big Bang, an 1800 is a low roll.
Yes. Especially since there are actually, as we've kind of discovered as people have sort of been picking apart the Zeromus fight, there are two Big Bangs, essentially. One having more damage rolls, as it were, as part of it. Essentially like little miniature attacks that add up to the total damage. So there is one Big Bang he does that hits significantly harder. I believe he uses a weak one, then a strong one. So that would have been the strong one we saw in that sequence. So kind of showing it as it brought the top Palom down there to double-digit HP.
But even though those HP levels got fairly low, Dathus isn't letting it slow him down. Still applying damage, keeping his party up.
Oh, it happens to all of us.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
Down a little bit, but yeah, it's one of the dangers of strategies that involve reflecting off your own characters. Is if the reflect goes down, or if you miss target the input there, one of your characters is going to eat a nuke to the face, and there's no surviving that from one of your own casts. But Dathus getting back on track. That Big Bang hitting at a very inopportune time here.
He did attempt to direct nuke Zeromus in time to, I think, probably in a desperate attempt to nuke, and that's going to be detrimental to him here.
This is going to be very, very difficult to recover from. He does have Porum up. That is, who you want alive in this situation. Let's see how he tries to handle this. So he's got the black hole here. The good news is he should have an empty turn now from Zeromus. So he should have the time to recover here. Oh, no, it's the nuke, then the empty turn. Okay, we're on that part of the script.
Was not shy about buying those life pots, though, so definitely won't risk running out of them. That is something that I commonly run into at this point, which is, I typically, pick up 20 life pots as soon as I see them, and then hopefully by Z I still have enough left to get out of a situation like this.
Lots of credit here to Dathus for fighting through this, not wanting to do the reset quite yet midway through the fight. Going to get that Cure 4 off. That's big. That should hopefully be enough to survive this Big Bang here.
Yeah, a reset out of Z is just a huge time loss. You don't ever want to do it. I think that the only situation I would do it is if I was almost out of MP and had no ethers left. That's probably at that point, especially with reflex threats, you're not going to get through.
Gosh, what an enormous roll there. And now you're just sort of seeing the detriment that the the children characters, Palom and Porum here, really kind of have when it comes to this fight is just the HP threshold for surviving that Big Bang is so tight, and they're so limited in HP growth that this can just be a constant problem.
And Lotus Mist shaking again, setting up for the next Big Bang.
It gets the Cure 4 off, so now we've just got to hope for low rolls here. Here comes the life. I'm not sure that we're going to have the time to get that Kane cured up. No, he's going to be falling again.
And it was a good roll, but the white mage is going down, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we're going to get the black hole here.
That low roll might give him the chance to get everybody back up and get his strategy reapplied. With all of those Cure 4s, though, you know, Porum only has 71 magic points left. Not in a good spot.
Yeah, I haven't got a good look at the inventory. I don't know if he has much in the way of MP restoratives, but yeah, that's getting a little dire. Nice low enough roll on the nuke there on the top Palom to avoid going down.
It just seems.
Oh, go ahead.
Just seems cruel at this point that the nuke has never touched the walled character.
Yeah, a lot of times you can get lucky, and when Zeromus throws that nuke out, it'll hit the character that already has reflect up, and it's just not happening.
No, and again there, I think he was attempting to cure Palom there, and so that's going to be a wasted turn and some wasted MP.
Yeah, and that's, I think we're tapped on Porum. Didn't have enough MP for a Cure 4. That was just a Cure 3. Yeah, we still have 2 more Cure 3s, it looks like, but that's it.
No, Dathus not having ethers. Zyrax did buy those 3 ether 2s when he found them. But Dathus, I don't think had the money or didn't even check that correct shot.
There's the rocks. This is going to be close, folks. We've got
It completely missed the middle Palom.
Wow, that is incredible, just dodging those rocks. Wow.
And the swag nuke.
Come on, Dathus. Got it! Wow.
Oh my god. That
was a
great
finish. Fantastic finish there by Dathus, never giving up until the final bell. GG's to Dathus indeed, finishing this seed. 1 hour, 54 minutes, 22 seconds. Incredibly well done. Never say never.
Just really, you know, the Z fight. I think it's the fight we all get to practice the most because it's at the end of every seed, and showing some exceptional resilience there.
And if I am not mistaken, we are joined by Dathus himself here. Little bit of a nail-biting finish there, eh?
I don't want to talk about that 31 MP. So this race this afternoon has been brought to you by Gut Feelings. Gut Feelings. When you think they're wrong, they're absolutely right. That top of tower, I saw that sparkle, and I'm like, you're going to be super important in about 20 minutes, aren't you? Cut to an hour later, and yes, you were.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that about once you get into go mode, not go mode necessarily, but getting the crystal, so relatively early in the seed, and then just sort of the whole world open to you to just get 1 of 2 key items. That's all you need.
Yep.
How'd you feel about just kind of like the pain of just getting to Zeromus in this seed?
The pain of getting to Zeromus was fighting myself, to be completely honest. Like I said, I did all my leveling, and I'm like, you know what? I could do Keyless Tower. this is where it is. I said that to myself the second I was in the middle of doing the egg grind, and I'm like, nah. Let's do the Baron check. Let's do something safer where there's more key items elsewhere, and I can do it somewhere place. Again, never always trust your gut feelings. Aside from that, it was basically I played a little bit more the odds. Like Baron had 2 key items, that's a good shot. Fey March, as you saw, I dipped down there. I'm like, depending on what's here, it could be bad, it could be good, could be bad. Answer was that was an Ogopogo that I would not have touched with the 10-foot pole until after I got the Avenger. Then I was really tempted. But no, not bad overall. You were given the entirety of the tools to handle anywhere, so it wasn't like, oh, I'm looking for this crystal. I don't know what I'm doing. You had the sirens for grinds. You had double Palom. In theory, I should have gone and replaced that Kane with Rydia and just gone full on reflex strats, or even replace the Cecil with Rydia and just had Kane be anchor / berserk duty. It was not the worst, but frustrating to know that it was right in front of me and I kind of ignored it.
It was a tough seat at points. Can you? Why did you decide to stick with Cecil throughout and not dump him for one of the either when getting those canes or when finding those ninjas?
So by the time I'd gotten the ninjas, I had already finished my grind, so I'm not gonna regrind up 2 ninjas when it's like whatever. I saw them, and my first thought was I could have just gone berserk strats and been completely fine, like I thought as soon as I saw those Bacchus wines. But yeah, getting the edges, I'm like, no, you guys, it's far too late. I'm not wasting another, 10 minutes, or 5 minutes or so, even with the eggs and double XP. It's just no, it's far too gone. Even though that treasury was, Edge and Kane heaven, which, had I known that was there, I would have taken the other Kane. And that's another reason why I didn't take the other Kane. I had a single defense sword and an ice brand, and I'm done my looting. I don't need to loot anywhere else. I've got mages to do the reflex with. The Rydia I was super tempted to take, but in the end I was like, no, let's stick with what I've got. Kane can act as pseudo-chemist / a little bit of damage with the defense sword that he's got, so he's going to be my in case something happens plan, and if I have to fight a physical-based boss somewhere to get the Darkness Crystal.
So when you're starting this race out, and you're on the start screen, you're looking at the objectives, and your cursor is Cecil because you're Dathus, and of course you'd start with Cecil.
Not only Cecil, vanilla palette Cecil, by the way.
So what are sort of your thoughts? Were you expecting, okay, this is Jetty from the get-go, and how did that sort of change your approach to the overworld at the beginning of the game?
The way it changed my approach, seeing the objectives, was, okay, I saw Waterfall and I saw the Sand Ruby. First 2 things I see, and the Dwarf Castle. Dwarf Castle, as soon as I get underground-ish, I can handle Dwarf Castle. That's not a problem. The Waterfall boss, I'm going to need some damage to be paired with the Cecil. In comes Porum. No. Let's go to Damsian. In comes second Porum. Also no. And then Nasidia gave me a Yang, and I'm like, you'll work. That's fine. The Kane in the Baron Inn, I saw him, and I'm like, you will do some work this seed. I guarantee I'm going to put Kane to work. After seeing King Queen Emblem, I'm so tempted. I could try this and maybe cheese through it. But the second boss made me scared. And the guards were just like, hey, how do you like a free Baron Inn? I liked it, but I would have liked it earlier. Yeah, my goal was I need something to do half-decent damage, so I was looking for Sid, Kane, hoping for an edge early on would have been great. Getting any of those meant I go straight to that waterfall, knock that out, and then go continue my path around the overworld. Seeing that B-Mist there, and I'm like, no, Eddie, you don't do damage yet. I don't have damage to deal with this. Let's go find something else. Double Palom, a couple levels, that's all they need, and they can just kind of shred the overworld.
So, can you take us into your head right after that high big bang? Only your white mage left standing. What were you thinking there, and how did it lead to help you recover and pull off that pretty amazing finish?
In order, what happened? Oh, I hit the HP refill. That's a very strong big bang. Second thought was, oh, at least she's alive. Third thought, don't wound what you can't kill, because I've been in this situation before, and white mages can solve all problems.
I mean, you used every bit of MP that she had, so...
Yep. I saw that 31 MP when I was trying to cast another Cure 4 on the top Paladin who had, like, I think 500 HP at the time. I was like, oh, this is a problem. See you scrolling through my inventory. Nope, not a dang thing there for me to take.
Yeah, I felt for you in that moment. Definitely did.
Oh,
And the really funny thing is, I know that there are Ether 2s sitting in Agart. They're just like, you could have used us.
Those are expensive. Come on. Consumables are cheating.
True.
But yeah, so this year, your first match of the tournament, you still got 2 more in group stage. Do you have any final thoughts about the rest of your group, or what adjustments you're going to make going forward?
Adjustments to make going forward is continue to listen to my gut and not ignore it, as well as take the games as they come. The really interesting thing is the race bot has all the stats on your races and everything. I saw my opponents and like, okay, I have a chance of maybe hitting the hook route. And then I looked up the stats of everybody. The only person I've won against is a Stone Dingley. Aside from that, I have a loss record against all of them in that. So it's an uphill battle, but I've got faith.
Hey, you can do it. You played fantastic tonight. There was a lot of really great plays here that you should be proud of. So, yeah, I think you've got every reason to have some confidence going in these next matches, and we'll definitely be watching it with interest. But thanks for being broadcast today, and GG and the rest of your group stage.
GG guys, again, thanks for you guys for commentating. Thanks to the Restream team for making sure that we can get this going on. Someone taking place of what I usually do, which is great. It's great that you guys forget all these matches. We've got a whole lot coming on, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that we do. And just sort of building off that, I did want to make you aware of a few matches that are going to be going on tonight. Throughout the night, we've got a double header on Randomania. That's going to be at 7 o'clock Eastern, starting off with Baka Shinobi and Invenerable commenting a match between Lockhole Live and Zudmud, and we're going to have Pixel Tamer and Ellen Motas commentating a match between Y2 Sky and Moo Money. That's going to be over on Randomania back-to-back. And then tonight on Free Enterprise, we're going to have Commander Leonhardt and Bad Karma commentating Kedril versus Justin MVP. So definitely check all of those out. That last match is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern.
That's right. It's a full day of Free Enterprise. Again, I really can't. I can't stop thinking about how fantastic the Restream team's doing to bring us 7 hours of Free Enterprise on a Tuesday. I couldn't be happier than during tournament season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So with that, we're going to send you over to Possum Morpheus, who is doing some tables practice right now. So definitely show them some love. But for the rest of the Restream team here, we've got Zoe Vermillion doing the Restream. We have Isalba doing the tracking, and my co-commentator, Gundam Pilot Spaz. I am Smeepy, and thank you so much for watching.